April 11th, 1241. 40,000 Mongol horsemen thunder across the Hungarian plains. Arrows blacken the sky like locusts, and thousands of Hungarian knights are systematically butchered. It's one of the bloodiest clashes in history, and it looks like the Mongols might just overthrow Europe. But let's change one thing. Rumbling across the Hungarian steppe, kicking up a dust cloud visible for miles, is something no one understands. An M1A2 Abrams main battle tank dropped into a battle it was never built for. So, what happens when the most advanced armored vehicle on Earth is unleashed during one of history's most devastating invasions? Can it single-handedly stop the horde that conquered half the known world? Or is it just one machine against 40,000 of the deadliest warriors humanity has ever produced? First, let's look at exactly what we just dropped into the 13th century. The M1A2 Abrams looks like it was forged in the nightmares of anyone who's ever held a sword. 73 tons of composite armor, angular and aggressive, powered by a gas turbine engine that screams like a jet fighter. Here's what this steel monster is packing. A 120mm smoothbore cannon that can send a target to its ancestors from over 3 kilometers away. We're talking rounds specifically designed to delete things from existence. The M830 high-explosive round detonates on impact, sending shrapnel ripping through anything nearby. But the real star is the M1028 canister round. Picture a shotgun the size of a telephone pole, firing thousands of tungsten pellets. One trigger pull erases an entire cavalry charge. The secondary weapons aren't exactly gentle either. A 50 caliber machine gun sits on top, controlled remotely so the crew never has to expose themselves. A coaxial 7.62mm gun handles anything that gets too curious. Together, they can lay down continuous suppressing fire that would make any army, past or present, second-guess attacking it. It's also got thermal imaging that picks up body heat from kilometers away, day or night, through any weather. The Trophy Active Protection System creates a 360-degree radar bubble around the tank, tracking every incoming threat. And the targeting computer can identify, track, and prioritize hundreds of individual targets faster than you can blink. Powered by a 1,500 horsepower motor, this thing hits 40 kilometers per hour across open country. That's faster than any Mongol horse can sustain. The fastest cavalry charge in history would literally eat its dust. The Mongol composite bow was a terrifying weapon in its day, accurate out to maybe 140 meters against a human-sized target. But against composite armor designed to stop modern anti-tank rounds, those arrows might as well be strongly worded letters. But here's the thing, Subotai isn't here to play games. The general directing this invasion is considered one of the greatest military minds who ever lived. He personally conquered more territory than Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar combined. And he brought friends. The Mongol force at Mohi numbers somewhere between 40 and 50,000 cavalry. And these aren't peasants with pointy sticks. They're professional soldiers who've spent their entire lives in the saddle, veterans of campaigns that crushed empires from China to Persia. Every single one is a horse archer capable of firing accurately while galloping at full speed. And their heavy cavalry carries lances that can punch through European plate armor. Their engineers field catapults and possibly even primitive Chinese gunpowder weapons. But their most devastating weapon isn't physical at all, it's deception. The feigned retreat has destroyed every army that's faced it. Mongol forces pretend to flee in panic, drawing overconfident enemies into a disorganized pursuit. Then they wheel around, surround the strung-out formation, and annihilate it. It requires incredible discipline and coordination to execute, and it's worked against every opponent they've ever faced. At dawn, the Mongol vanguard begins crossing the Sayo River. Hungarian scouts report the movement, and King Bela orders his forces to intercept. 3 kilometers away, the Abrams crew watches everything unfold on their screens. Thermal imaging paints the Mongol horde in ghostly white against the cool morning ground. The targeting computer catalogs the 40,000 heat signatures, calculating optimal engagement sequences. The first 120mm round launches with a crack that splits the morning air. It covers 3 kilometers in seconds, detonating in the center of a formation. The explosion is instantaneous. Horses and riders simply cease to exist. Shrapnel scythes through the surrounding cavalry, cutting down dozens more. Before the survivors can process what happened, the second round is already airborne. The Mongols do what Mongols do, they scatter. Their doctrine emphasizes dispersal, making themselves harder targets. It's smart. It's tactically sound against arrows and swords. It works brilliantly. Against thermal imaging and AI-assisted targeting, however, it just means the tank has to fire more often. The crew switches to their 50 cal and sends streams of tracers into the dispersed formations. Every fifth round glows red-hot, creating laser-like lines of death as Mongol riders tumble from their horses. Others wheel their mounts, desperately searching for an enemy. But there's just a distant dust cloud and continuous, unanswerable death. Subotai, watching from a hilltop command post, has never seen anything like this. The old general has fought armies from Korea to Poland. He's seen Chinese rockets and Persian siege weapons. Nothing prepared him for an enemy that kills from beyond the horizon. He orders the feigned retreat. Thousands of Mongol cavalry turn and flee, executing the maneuver that has destroyed a dozen armies. The trap is set. All they need is for the enemy to pursue. The Abrams accelerates, 40 kilometers per hour across open ground. The tank maintains perfect standoff distance. Every time the Mongols slow to regroup, another high-explosive round reminds them to keep moving. Every time they try to flank, thermal imaging spots them kilometers out. Every time they attempt to mass for a counterattack, the M1028 canister turns that mass into a field shrouded in red mist and limbs. The feigned retreat becomes a real rout. By midday, the Mongol force has lost over 1,000 men without landing a single blow on their attacker. Veterans who conquered China are fleeing in genuine terror from something their minds cannot process. Some believe it's a demon. Others think the Hungarians have summoned a dragon made of iron. A few simply break, their famous discipline shattered by an enemy that violates every rule of warfare they understand. Now, here's the problem. The Abrams is winning the battle, but it's already losing the war. The turbine engine drinks fuel like water, about 1 gallon every minute when moving across country. The tank started with enough for maybe 400 kilometers of range. After a morning of aggressive maneuvering, that number's dropping fast. Worse, the engine's air filters are choking on Hungarian dust. Under normal conditions, they need cleaning every 12 hours. On this step, caked in grit with every kilometer, they're clogging much faster. Without maintenance that requires tools and expertise that won't exist for 7 centuries, the engine will fail within days. The crew knows the clock is ticking. They've got maybe 48 hours of aggressive operation before their steel champion becomes a very expensive roadblock. By evening, the Mongol force has lost 3,000 men. More importantly, they've lost their nerve. Subotai, genius that he is, recognizes when a battle is unwinnable. He orders a withdrawal to regroup and reassess. The next morning, the Abrams doesn't start. Dust has fouled the air intake beyond field repair. 73 tons of the most advanced armor on Earth sits silent on the Hungarian plain. But within weeks, every Mongol soldier from Hungary to Mongolia has heard about the Iron Demon of Mohi, the beast that couldn't be wounded, the thunder that killed from beyond sight, the thing that broke Subutai's perfect record. The Mongols are pragmatic. They don't fight battles they can't win. And if Europe has one of these monsters, who's to say they don't have more? The invasion stalls, the generals argue. And when news arrives that the great Khan Gedai has died back in Mongolia, the decision becomes easy. The horde turns east, never to return. So, could a modern tank really stop the Mongol invasion of Europe? Yes and no. One tank can't occupy a continent, but its greatest strength is that it doesn't have to. It just has to make the Mongols believe that continuing west isn't worth the risk. And for one impossible day, it would do exactly that. The tank itself sits on the Hungarian plain for decades, a rusting monument to an impossible victory. Local legends call it the Sleeping Dragon. Pilgrims come to touch its armor. And somewhere in the Mongol chronicles there's a line about the day the Western demons unleashed their mechanical masterpiece. Or what do you think would happen? And if you're curious what would happen if a modern tank fought at Waterloo, Check out the video on screen now. Thanks for watching.